Abby Williams and Libby German were best friends. They loved hanging out. Best friends who loved playing softball. Best friends whose trip to the Monon High Bridge 7.5 years ago ended in tragedy. Thanks for inviting us in. It's now 11 o'clock. We've seen these pictures of these girls for years. They showed two happy teens. But the pictures seen today by the jury showed the grisly details of the wounds that the girls did not survive. Richard Allen is on trial now for their murders. Tonight, our Emily Longnecker breaks down what was revealed by their autopsy photos, plus the testimony that sparked fiery exchanges with the defense team and the theory Allen's attorneys are tonight pushing to get back in play.
Well, today's testimony was both emotional, hearing about the autopsies of Abby Williams and Libby German, and it was also technical, hearing from the expert who took data off of Libby German's cell phone. We also heard from a witness who says she saw Bridge Guy the day of the murders, walking on the side of the road. Dr. Roland Kaur performed the autopsies that showed Abby had one large gaping wound on her neck. Libby had 3 large deep wounds on her neck. An Indianapolis State Police sergeant told the jury about the data he got off of Libby's cell phone, showing what she posted on Snapchat that day, a picture of the bridge, then a photo of Abby walking on the bridge. Sergeant Cecil testified at 2:13 Libby recorded a 43-second video of Abby walking on the bridge with someone behind her. Data from the phone also showed the phone moving and stopping at different times after that. Then at 2:39, Sergeant Cecil told the jury Libby's phone stopped moving completely. A text came into Libby's phone at 4:06 from Becky Patty, her grandmother, saying, quote, "You need to call me now." The day started with testimony from Delphi resident Sarah Carbaugh, who told the jury she saw Bridge Guy for 30 seconds, saying, quote, "I saw a man covered in mud and blood walking on the side of the road." On cross-examination, the defense showed Carbaugh transcripts from previous interviews with police, where she described the man she saw that day only as muddy, but did not mention any blood. The jury had several questions about the data taken from Libby German's phone. Some of them appeared visibly shaken earlier in the morning when the doctor was discussing their injuries seen in the autopsies. Testimony wrapped up just before 5 today, with Judge Frances Gull reminding jurors not to discuss what happened in court outside the courtroom. In Delphi, Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
Abby and Libby's families have been subjected to heartbreaking images from the crime scene and those autopsies. And while nothing compares to what they're going through, 12 jurors and 4 alternates were chosen to review all these images. So what kind of support do these jury members get when this trial comes to an end? Our Chase Howell is in studio with us with that answer. Chase?
Scott, to put it plainly, just their daily rate and a thank you for serving.
10 women and 6 men have been chosen to view all the evidence presented by the state and the defense in Richard Allen's trial. The past few days, they viewed horrific crime scene photos from the day Abby Williams and Libby German were found murdered. Some of the jurors growing emotional and visibly disturbed by some of the images. And while WTHR's legal expert Katie Jackson Lindsay thinks jurors exposed to any sort of brutal imagery should be offered therapy, it's not always practical to do.
There are so many boundaries in terms of a criminal prosecution or a criminal case, because you don't ever, neither side wants to give the appearance of offering anything to the jury in order to get a favorable verdict. So you have to be very careful about that. Even the court has to be very careful about that to ensure that they're staying within the confines of the rules.
Jackson Lindsay says throughout her career, jurors have come up to her after the trial expressing the impact of either the testimony or graphic evidence has had on them.
In this case, we're seeing crime scene photos, we're seeing autopsy pictures, but in a lot of homicide cases, you're seeing actual body-worn camera footage of the body right there on the scene before any sort of medical intervention is offered or before the body is collected. And so that can have an equally or more traumatizing effect.
According to the National Center for State Courts, Alaska and Texas are the only states to offer therapy to jurors.
They took on a burden that I was never going to be able to take on by seeing those pictures. I still haven't.
Sharon Sedgwick helped pass the law in Texas. She says her daughter, Jennifer Cave, was shot and stabbed before her body was mutilated in 2005. After the trial ended for the 2 people who killed her daughter, Sedgwick would go on to champion legislation in her daughter's name that offers therapy to jurors exposed to brutal imagery.
I watched those jurors every day to see what kind of changes and see how they were reacting to what we were going through. And I just saw them withering on the vine. And I knew I owed them a great thank you for looking at those pictures and making the decisions that they made.
Now, I do want to note tonight, Judge Gull told us from the very beginning that she would be watching the jurors in the Delphi murders trial in case they get emotional and need to take a break or recess for the day.
Chase, thanks so much. Tonight we're getting a look at a new motion from the defense team asking again to present an alternate theory about who killed those two girls. Richard Allen's attorneys say Abby and Libby may have been murdered as part of a ritual killing, noting the formation of sticks on their bodies at the scene. Judge Gull previously blocked Richard Allen's attorneys from presenting that theory to the jury. The state had argued that investigators dismissed it, but now Allen's attorneys are renewing their push to allow an expert on Odinism to testify. So we asked our legal expert, Katie Jackson-Lindsay, about that motion during our 10 o'clock Delphi debrief show tonight. She told us the judge should consider it.
What the defense has said in their motion is that, Judge, you have ruled that we cannot talk about this as a possible motive, this Odinism religious issue as a possible motive for this killing. But now an expert has taken the stand, or a witness has taken the stand and given a reason for the configuration of these sticks, a reason that we have evidence that supports that there's an alternative theory behind this.
Richard Allen's attorneys point to testimony from a state police investigator saying the sticks were placed there to conceal the girls' bodies. Now, they are arguing that blocking this Odinism theory violates Allen's constitutional rights. So if you'd like to see more from our Delphi debrief show, streaming weeknights at 10 o'clock on WTHR+. This is an in-depth look at this big trial. We've got Bob Siegel, Emily Longnecker, and our legal expert every weeknight breaking down the major developments from the courtroom. You can stream the show on demand right now on WTHR+. This is our free streaming app, and you can get it on Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, and Roku.